confronting Donald Rumsfeld at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night. As Rumsfeld entered the building, Desiree Feruz and Medea Benjamin of Code Pink were there to greet him.
Mr. Secretary. War criminal! War criminal! War criminal! Arrest this man! Arrest the war criminal! I wish I had some handcuffs right now to arrest this man! He is responsible for the death of millions of people! War criminal! Arrest this man! War criminal! War criminal! Arrest this man! War criminal! You're protecting a man responsible for the deaths of millions of Iraqis! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
After Desiree Feruz was taken away by security, Medea Benjamin continued to walk alongside Rumsfeld down a staircase. She announced his arrival to a crowded room by again calling him a war criminal.
Here comes the war criminal, Donald Rumsfeld! War criminal! He killed people in Iraq! War criminal! Donald Rumsfeld! War criminal! He killed people in Iraq! War criminal! There's a war criminal!
In Hawaii, more than 50 people gathered outside a federal court building in Honolulu to protest the Bush administration torture memo author Jay Bybee. The demonstration was held as Bybee heard cases in his position as a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. The group World Can't Wait has called for protests against Bybee in every city where he hears cases. In Israel, the Israeli journalist Amira Haas was arrested on Tuesday after returning from the Gaza Strip. Haas has been reporting from Gaza for several years. She was arrested on charges of residing in an enemy state and ordered to stay out of Gaza for 30 days. And in Miami, 5 defendants have been convicted of a plot to blow up Chicago's Sears Tower. One of the defendants was acquitted. It was the government's third attempt to convict the so-called Liberty City Six after 2 mistrials. The case has been criticized for lacking any physical evidence and relying on an FBI informant who reportedly devised the plot for which the defendants were convicted. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Baucus's Raucous Caucus. 5 people were arrested yesterday at a Senate Finance Committee hearing on health care reform and charged with disruption of Congress. They were protesting Committee Chair Senator Max Baucus's refusal to include advocates of a single-payer health care system in a series of hearings on health care. Last week, 8 doctors, lawyers, and activists were arrested as they sought to put a single-payer advocate at a table of 15 witnesses. At yesterday's hearing, none of the 13 witnesses testifying was an advocate of single-payer. Senator Baucus, a Montana Democrat, opened the hearing on a cautionary note warning against any disruptions.
I respect the views of everyone here, including everyone in the audience. And that respect, in turn, means listening and not interrupting when others are speaking. I sincerely hope that everyone here today, including our guests, especially guests in the audience, will afford these proceedings with that level of respect.
As Senator Baucus spoke, a group of about 30 nurses stood up and turned their backs on him. They wore red scrubs with signs on their backs that said, "Nurses say stop AHIP, pass single payer." AHIP stands for America's Health Insurance Plans, a lobby group for the health insurance industry. After standing for a few minutes in silent protest, the nurses walked out of the hearing to applause.
But the current tax exclusion is not perfect. It is regressive. It often leads people to buy more health coverage than they need. We should look at ways to modify the current tax exclusion so that it provides the right incentives.
After the nurses walked out, a group of 5 doctors, nurses, and single-payer advocates stood up one by one and spoke directly to Senator Baucus before being let out by police.
Have a legal duty to advocate to change circumstances that are against the interests or wishes of our patients.
They will be in order.
Today is
Comments from the audience are inappropriate and out of order. Any further disruption will cause the committee to recess until the police can restore order.
Florence Nightingale said, sir.
Committee will be in order. Committee will stand in recess until the police can restore order.
Florence Nightingale said, were there none that ever hoped for better, there would never be any better. Until there's a single-payer healthcare system in this country, there will never be safety for patients that need access to medically necessary care. Now that Florence Nightingale need access to medically necessary health care.
Mr. Chairman.
The people at this table have failed Americans for 30 years.
We will stand in recess until the police can restore order.
We want single payer at this table. Health care is a human right. We want guaranteed health care. No more blue crosses, double crosses. We want guaranteed health care. No more Thank you. No more Aetna or Cigna bosses. We want guaranteed health care. We want to see our doctors when we need and get our pills that are guaranteed. We're tired of private insurance free. We want guaranteed health care. In California, SBA 10 is guaranteed health care. And HR 676 is guaranteed health care.
Let me just speak a few minutes. Sorry, in order. Give a recess until order can be restored.
Want a single-payer system. Why do you insist on spending more money when the single-payer would give it to us at the price we're spending now? 60%. Why not 60% of the people in front of you representing single-payer? 60% of the people want single-payer. This is a sham. All these other special interest groups up there.
Can we recess until the police can restore order? I'll ask for the please come more expeditiously.
Why aren't single-payer advocates at the table? Healthcare should be for patients, not for profits.
I'm Dr. Stephen Fetishel, and it is a sense of outrage that brings me to the Senate chamber. You have been entrusted with doing the people's work, and yet you...
We will stand recess until the police can restore order.
The insurance companies, the hospitals for profit...
And I'll say to everybody else out in the audience who may be similarly inclined, believe me, we hear you. We deeply respect the views of everyone here. We've got an extremely open process, and I just urge everyone to respect the views of others by not interrupting those who are speaking. There'll be plenty of time to meet with everybody. This is a long, involved process. And so those of you in the audience who are not panelists and wish to be heard, I urge you just to contact my office. We'll figure out a way to talk to you. I'll figure out a way to listen to you. I'll be there personally to listen to you. So I urge you to take that option rather than to interrupt and be rude to our panelists here who've come a long distance and spent a long time trying to make very thoughtful presentations to the committee. But I will meet with anybody who wants to meet with me.
All 5 protesters were arrested outside the hearing room and taken away for booking. Russell Mokhiber is the founder of the group SinglePayerAction.org. It's been organizing the protests. He was the first person arrested last week at the Senate Finance Committee hearing on health care reform.
In this room right now who are willing to take a seat at that table to testify in favor of Medicare for all and single payer. They should be at the table. You can't exclude what the majority of Americans want and the majority of doctors want.
Committee will be in order. Committee will stand in recess.
Russell Mokhiber joins us now from Washington, D.C. He's also editor of the Corporate Crime Reporter. And joining us from Baltimore, Maryland, is Dr. Margaret Flowers. She's a pediatrician and co-chair of the Maryland chapter of Physicians for National Health Program. She's speaking today at a rally in Washington, D.C. as part of a National Day of Action for single-payer health care. Other speakers include Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, Michigan Congressmember John Conyers, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee. I want to start with Dr. Margaret Flowers. You were arrested last week, the first doctor to be arrested. Why?
Well, for so many years, doctors and nurses have been trying to deliver quality health care in this country, and it's become increasingly difficult. We've tried to have our voice heard. We really requested to Senator Baucus that he include a single-payer advocate at these roundtable discussions, and we were told very clearly that there would be no invitation coming. And so we felt that, and I felt that we couldn't be silent any longer. We needed to stand up on behalf of our patients, on behalf of our colleagues, and speak out.
Russell Mokhiber, talk about these actions. So the last week, there have been 2 Senate Finance Committee hearings, 13 people arrested. As we just heard, Senator Baucus said, "I will meet with you." He talked to the people in the audience as he was being interrupted one after another.
Well, first of all, good morning, Amy, from